Hi, this is Roger. Thanks for dropping by. This is several bits all in one. I got the croaks today. You have to excuse the croaks, but that's how it is. That I don't mind, but what's a suitable expression? My back injury is being revisited, and it's in progress. And it's not flipping funny. It's an injury from when I was at college, so it's ancient. That put me down for 2 weeks. Literally lying flat was not funny at all, and it revisits me every now and again, but because I know what sets it off, it's a very, very rare occurrence. But unfortunately at the show yesterday, it set it off. And one of the things that sets it off is being on my feet for long periods and not moving around too much, which when you're on an orchid display visited by lots of people is just what you end up doing. So although I knew I was probably going to get a problem by the end of the day, which I did, I didn't get a lot of choice, really. You know, if you volunteer for these things, you've got to put your best into it. And I had great fun. 40,000 people coming up and starting their question with, I've got this phalaenopsis, or I've got this orchid, which is a phalaenopsis. And we progress from there. But hopefully people go away feeling better about their orchids and feeling a little more in control, which is the idea when you're just doing a display and you're the only orchid people in a vast show. We were it. So, you know, people said, oh, pretty blooms. People said, oh, there's so much interesting stuff here. A huge variety of visitors. It's good fun. But being the last day of the show, it's also set down day where you have to take everything apart and box it all up and, you know, and then the transport. So it was a very long day. I mean, I got there around 8 o'clock. Got myself some breakfast, had a walk round, a nice long chat with Oliver, whose his company's stand was just outside the entrance to the floral tent. So he was like, you know, just round the corner all day long. And we had some nice long chats. And so my back is bad today. If I move around, I'm fine. The transition from standing to sitting and sitting to standing is a slow and painful progress. So, well, tell yourself not to sit down then, or when you sit down, stay there for a while. So that's the way the day's going to go. Days, probably. I might shift it today. I may not. It may last a couple of days, but it will go. You know, I'm on it, as they say. So, I haven't even unpacked. Literally last night when I got back in, there wasn't much I could do, quite honestly, in the thought of getting these plants out. We have an accident. The Dendrobium phalaenopsis fell out of its pot, basically. Well, that was good and bad. The bad bit was, obviously, when it fell out of its pot, I wasn't there. So it didn't happen at setup, it happened sometime after. And somebody just threw a load of that grit in it to stabilise it. So I've now got to repot that and get that grit out of the pot and set it up properly in some new media and everything. Despite it being in bloom, it's just going to have to be done. But apart from that, you know, good show. Now, last year we got a large gold for our display. This year we only got a silver gilt. But you get different judges and they have different opinions. And it is a floral display. We're the only orchid people there. And I suspect, I don't know, that in amongst the judges in that floral tent, marquee, there's nobody who knows anything about orchids. You know, so they're judging on what you see. That's all they can do. That's all they can do. And last year, although we got the large gold, we got an advisory that our plants were quite squashed up together. And although the bloom display was beautiful and warranted the large gold, they couldn't see some of the plants very well. You know, so this year, we spaced them out a little bit more. And that's what they objected to. The very thing they advised us to do last year, this year, they objected to. You can't please all the people. But I think we got some new members. We got lots of people took away the discounted entry to our next show at the end of September. said they're looking forward to going, and all that sort of stuff. So a success despite the award. That's not really what we went for. It's trying to get new members and get people interested in orchids. That's why we're there. Anyway, so that's done. This video is also an introduction to an idea from somebody that I will take on board. And it's basically a mid-season update. Now, I'm going to do it, but it's going to be fast. And I mean fast. I'm going to film every single orchid, but it's going to be seconds. And it's more likely to be nothing more than an analysis and a categorization, like doing well, work in progress, not doing so good. But, I'm going to try and go through every orchid. There's no way that's going to happen in one vid, so it'll make up one of these little sets that I do sometimes. But I can't take my time over the plants. It'll end up being a 10-part set and use up like 4 hours or something like that. I can't do that mid-season. If you remember, at the start of the season, I did a start of season update for each plant as a before look. The idea being at the end of the growing season, we have a look at the after look. In other words, that's what they look like in early spring. This is what they look like as we go into winter. So you can see the difference. You can see what one season's growth looks like on each plant. Now that will be quite a long set of videos because I've got to find the before clips, and then film the after clip and put them together. So that will take time, but it's, I did it once before, not as well as I'm going to do it this time, but it was successful, so I'm quite happy to do it again. And part of the reason for doing it is for me, so that I get to look at each plant and compare it. And the comparison is the difficult bit, because most people have to use their memory. Well, this is what I think it looked like in the spring, so it looks like it's done quite well this year, but the only way to tell really is to record the beginning of the growing season and then compare. So we'll do that. That's much later in the year. That's going to be October into November, I expect, something like that. So I've got to get this lot out of the box. I've got some outside stuff to do. Boring stuff like shopping and things. Well, if you've got to eat, you need to get some food, don't you? So some things like that to do. I haven't got watering to do today apart from the mounted orchids. They just got a quick spray yesterday morning. So I'll go through those. And as I said, so that's an idea for a little set of videos. Is a very fast midsummer update on how things are going. And to even get down that step hurts. The Vanda's open, but I'd class that as opening. Bearing in mind Vanda blooms are a bit strange in the orchid world because when they open, the blooms are not full size. The blooms actually grow, so they are slightly different. When those blooms opened, they weren't that big, but over the first week or so, they actually grow in size, So there's more to come from that nice blue orchid up there. So we'll deal with that. And that's quite interesting as well, because I'll have to zoom in on that. Oh, even stretching up with a camera hurts. That Psychopsis, the last 2 buds have blasted. Now, I know that's blurry, the light level's appalling today. But it looks like it's going to open. So third time lucky, as they say. It also hopefully means the plant is recovering, because boy was that one in a bad state. Okay, so I'll leave that at that for now, because stretching up there is not comfortable. So filming today, maybe a bit thin on the ground, because it's uncomfortable. Simple as that, we do what we can. And yeah, we'll see where we go from there. So I'll leave this one at that. Introduction to plans and things like that. And a sort of excuse for perhaps not doing so much over the next couple of days. That may be just how it has to be. I've got to get this lot out of their box and check everything's okay. And it was funny actually, because I took the plants I planned on taking to the display. I took out of the grow room as I was doing my major watering, all the pots. And so when I put the plants back, these plants weren't here. So the gaps where they live aren't there anymore. So I've even got to shuffle plants around just to put these back now. Plus I've got a repot to do, which is a pain, but that's life. And I can see another pain at the moment, and that's a bit worrying. I wonder how that's happened. There's a piece of something loose. Where the hell has that come from? And what is it? I haven't got any roots. It's a bit of a Masdevallia. I've got a feeling I know where that's come from. It's probably come out of that big one, because there were some pieces that I tucked in the side of the pot. Yeah, better deal with that as well. First thing to do is that. Masdevallias don't like being dry. That's just some leftover water from last time I was messing around, so just to get that slightly hydrated, and I'll deal with that in a minute. That can just get poked back in the pot unceremoniously. Oh, some little blooms just started on that. Emphasis on the little. Tiny little things those are. Anyway, I will get on now with jobs and chores and things like that, and I'll see you again next time.